What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Gooner, a channel dedicated to Arsenal Football Club, who, as we all know, are by far the greatest team the world has ever seen, even though some nights it really doesn't feel like it. And it's another disappointing European night for Arsenal fans, one that I think we're all quite used to. I certainly have had my fair share of bad experiences in various European competitions, be it the UEFA Cup, the Cup Winners' Cup, now the Europa League, and of course the Champions League. Goes with the territory, really. What I will say, though, is that as experienced as I am in disappointment in various European trophies, our players are not necessarily. And this will be a relatively new experience for them. Certainly penalty shootouts are a relatively new experience. I think the last one, and I checked, I wouldn't swear to this, but I think it was in the League Cup away to Liverpool 2 years ago. So I'm not sure how many of the players that played tonight were in that. I haven't had a chance to look. But tonight was a disappointing performance. Starting with the lineups, no criticism of Arteta in terms of who he started the game with. He got a bit unlucky. He went for bringing Ramsdale in, which I thought was a bold move. I don't know if it was because Turner had such a Reggie last time or because he felt, look, this was time to take this seriously. Ramsdale came in. Tomiyasu took Ben White's spot. I think, again, this is largely probably down to Ben White needing a bit of time off. And Tomiyasu's solid performance against Sporting away certainly gave us every reason to be optimistic about his inclusion tonight. Zinchenko kept his spot on the left ahead of Tierney, which you have to presume is now pretty much a sign that Tierney's time at Arsenal is coming to an end. As sad as that is, I said it in a previous video, it doesn't feel like Tierney's prepared to fight for his place, and if you're not prepared to fight for a place, you don't deserve to wear the badge. I'm not trying to be harsh, I love Tierney, but I would really rather he was talking about winning his place back than, wanting to move. Saliba and Gabriel in the centre of the defence. Well, you can't criticise that. It is our best defence at this point in time. Midfield is there an area where there were no surprises. The only area where there were no surprises, really. Expected Jorginho and Xhaka to play and expected Vieira to get some time. Up front, Saka was rested, which is an unusual move. Nelson got his chance on the right. Martinelli on the left, and then the surprise inclusion from the start of Gabby Jesus. Looking at a lineup, things did not go to plan, and so that lineup, with the benefit of hindsight, which is always 2020, could look like it was a bit of a mistake. First and foremost, playing Jesus for the first half. Apparently, he was never expected really to play a full, much more than 60 minutes. But in the end only made 45 minutes because changes had to be made. Those changes came as a result of Tomiyasu, unfortunate strain injury. I'm no expert on muscle strains, but it looks like he might be out for a little while. And certainly not a terrible injury, but I wouldn't expect to see him play at Palace. And Saliba with what looked like a precautionary substitution. He, I think, had some injury to his back, but it wasn't clear to me. Those two substitutions that were forced on us in the first half probably did change the way that we were able to introduce substitutes. But looking at the first half, it was sloppier than usual. Zinchenko, we saw much more of the worst side of his game. I loved, he did still put a couple of his specialty passes in, but really more often than not, it was frustrating to see him give the ball away, Vieira give the ball away. We were just not always, we were second to the ball sometimes. We were struggling to control it. The weather was against us. Like I could make excuses all day. It was just one of those games where we weren't focused enough. I think we're a team that has achieved a great deal this season and won a lot of plaudits for that kind of dynamic passing where you really fire a pass at somebody and they control it. That just wasn't happening today. There was a lovely move from Jesus. There was the goal from Xhaka coming off a Martinelli move. We had control of the game, and at half-time I was pretty convinced that we'd seen enough. Lovely mazy run from Nelson, a glimpse of what he's capable of. I was really confident. I thought we'd put the tie, being 1-0 up, we'd kind of put the tie beyond them, taken the wind out of their sails a little bit and deflated them. But in the second half, I think complacency and again, just a lack of focus and sloppiness all over the pitch. We were not winning our duels. We just were not able to keep the ball in a way that we've gotten used to doing. I think the Emirates atmosphere, has been the reason we've built a fortress there, but I think it was nervy. And this is cup competitions for you. It really does all hinge on moments. And one of those moments, sadly for us, came in a Naeem-esque Gonzalez shot from, just inside our half, really, that beat Ramsdale. It's a goal that it's hard, really, to pin on him. It's so reminiscent for me. It was like watching Dave Seaman struggle, as Naeem's ball came over. Obviously, the circumstances are different in a final, in the last kick of a game. We had plenty of time to turn this round, and substitutions that came on really did help us to do that. Having had to make those substitutions, though, meant that we couldn't bring Odegaard on until extra time, and he really did make a difference. Overall, we just weren't quite good enough on the day. Their keeper made a fantastic save from a header from Gabby. Trossard was clean through and missed. Well, I didn't miss, actually saved it onto the post. And I thought that Trossard played well, but wasn't quite at the pace of the game that needed to be. None of the team were when it came to penalties. Well, look, penalties. I was pleased to see Odegaard volunteering to take one in the huddle. Personally, I don't know if that is what happened. Obviously, I can only deduce that from watching it. I would much rather like to think that we'd worked this out way before time, that we knew who our penalty takers were in these situations. But he volunteered to take one and took one really well. It went all the way down to Martinelli. Trossard scored his, Saka scored his, Odegaard scored his in the reverse order. And then Martinelli, I think it's every great player has to miss a penalty at some point in their life just to know what's at stake and kind of realise that it's not the end of the world. I think if you're going to miss a penalty, Saka missing his penalty in the Euros for England and coming back in the way that he has since that, I think it teaches you a lot. And I think overall this defeat will teach our young players a great deal and make them hungrier. Just like missing out on the top four did last season, and this title push is a result of that, I feel. So, what are the real positives? The real positives, and this is going to sound like me saying the Europa League is not a trophy worth winning. I dearly wanted to win it. You don't really know how you feel about a game until it starts, and as comfortable as I was in the first half, the performance was underwhelming from us, but I thought we'd done enough. I thought we would do enough, and then suddenly the game turns on its head and you're chasing it and nothing seems to be coming for you. Nothing seems to be going right, and it is cup competitions. So there's not going to be a second chance coming up next week or the week after. I am gutted to be out, but before the game, my real fear here was that one of the advantages I think we're going to have over Man City is, for example, they play Burnley this weekend, we play Palace. Now, assuming that we can lift ourselves and beat a frankly woeful Palace who have yet to win a game this season, who've never scored more than one goal a game this year, provided we can overcome a Crystal Palace who've yet to win this calendar year, who've yet to score more than one goal in any game this calendar year, who are on the back of 3 successive defeats and games where they haven't even managed a shot on target. Provided we can put a team together to beat them on Sunday, then essentially we go 8 points clear of Manchester City. International break comes back with Manchester City playing Liverpool, and later on in that day we will be playing Leeds. So it's not inconceivable if Liverpool could do us a favour and get a draw, that we would have a 10-point gap. Now, I know that they would have a game in hand, but by the time you get through all those other games, all being equal, we now don't have to worry about a Europa League quarter-final sandwiching our West Ham game, and in the run-up, and meaning that we have to postpone the game against Southampton that we would have had on the 21st of April. So we can play that Southampton game. We can therefore theoretically be 10 or 13 points clear of them. So that's a fixture pile-up we're not going to have. In fact, we have 11 games left this season. If we win all of them, we are champions. I am producing a video tomorrow which is a detailed analysis of games coming up and factors, and it is my prediction of where Arsenal will finish this season. So, fixture pile-up is something we're not going to have to worry about, and no more 120-minute games coming up for us. Man City, on the other hand, they will be facing that. They will have the distraction not only of the Champions League, which falls at the same time as our quarterfinal would have done and sandwiches their game against Leicester, and also means that they won't be able to play Brighton away. Further gives us the initiative, and I don't know where they're going to fit all their games in, but they're also, provided they can beat Burnley in the FA Cup, and I think they're strong favourites to do that, may find themselves playing a semi-final in April against Man United or Brighton, or a team that's really going to take the focus away from them. Now, I think this is the best news that we could have had. I am disappointed. I don't want to make light of the Europa League. It is a competition that we've made a final and a semi-final, which is not a good return on the years we've been in it. And I hope that we're not going to be playing in it for a few years yet, and that we have Champions League to look forward to. But we are going to face better teams than Sporting, and it's clear from tonight that our squad is not quite ready for European and domestic glory. We are a team that can probably do well in a cup run or in a league, but certainly not in both. And I hope that we strengthen and reinforce. Martin Keown put this brilliantly in the interview, and he did on BT Sports afterwards. You're seeing that we are a team which has not had the finances and has not competed in signing players. We've not been able to sign players because they haven't wanted to play in the Europa League or not even in Europe. And this is a team playing in Europe for the first time, wasn't in Europe last season. I think lessons have been learned tonight. I think progress has been made. I think, Arteta was clearly upset going out of it. I think his assessment of the game was really good. We did not win our battles. We did not win all our duels. We have to take it on the chin. And as Odegaard said about Martinelli and how he would feel, look, we win and we lose together. Tonight, none of us got the result we wanted, but I still think we can be proud of what they've achieved so far. I don't think there's any point in blaming any individuals. Certainly, there were players tonight that did not play as well as we'd expected them to, and the critics of players like Zinchenko and Vieira will be out in force. I'm not doing that. I think you judge players in this squad on how they perform over a season, not how they perform in individual games. But there is a concern that that managers with a great deal of tactical nous might work out that kind of Zinchenko and pack the midfield so that he can't get in there. Way above my pay grade to try and understand tactics like that. What I can say is that I'm proud of this team this season. I'm disappointed in the result tonight, and I think that these results do come along, and that's why cup competitions don't tell you who the best team in the country or in Europe is. They tell you who the best team on the day is. Today, I'm not even sure Sporting were the best team, but I do want to say congratulations to Sporting, and I wish them well. I'm not sure they have a team that's good enough to make the final here, but I think their hunger and desire in this competition and their focus to win it beat ours today. And to that, I have to say, well done and hats off. I'm not going to take my hat off because my Barnet looks an absolute 2-8. So in the meantime, there's plenty more videos coming up. We've got this international break after the game against Crystal Palace. So I'm going to be putting together the kind of videos that take a bit longer, more sort of delving into the history. I'm doing a video on the best players ever to wear the number 7 shirt for Arsenal, which is a great one. Thank you so much for your support. Thanks for watching so far. Click like if you liked it. Leave any comments if you agreed with me or disagreed with me. And if you haven't yet, just subscribe, will you? Lots of love.